Hello, this is Sebastian from Social Anxiety Solutions. I'm a social anxiety coach, and I help people who have social anxiety to feel calm and relaxed in social situations so they can connect, enjoy themselves, laugh a little or a lot, have a good time, and so on. And in this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about the fear of change. And when you hear this for the first time, maybe you're thinking like, well, I don't have fear of change. I just want to be confident. I just want to be at ease, and there's nothing to fear about that. And I get it. However, experience tells me, having worked with hundreds of people with social anxiety over the past 8 years, and having gone through a transformation myself where I overcame my own social anxiety, fear of change is present when you look deeper. And I'll share a couple of examples with you to give you an idea. So I'm actually going to start with the example of Rachel. Rachel works for the Social Anxiety Solutions team, and I had a session with her the other day. So she has a big change coming up in her life, which is she's actually going to change her lifestyle. So she's no longer going to live in one particular place, and she's going to be a bit nomadic, a bit all over the place. And as she's making that big change, things come up for her. So she noticed that she has 2 more weeks before her lease runs out, and she has no place anymore. And yet, the only thing she had done so far was bring half of her books to the library, and no packing yet. And she's like, I just feel so tired, I can't do it, I feel grumpy, I can't do the work I'm normally doing. What's going on? I'm like, well, what's going on is you're dealing with resistance. Part of you really wants to live this nomadic lifestyle and have this freedom and do these things, but another part of you is saying no. That's going to be safe and not beneficial in some way, shape, or form. And so she was dealing with resistance. She was dealing with a fear of change. And so when I asked her some more questions, when I asked her some more questions, we uncovered some stuff that came up for her. So one of the things that she was concerned about was that she wouldn't have control over her environment anymore. And now she has her own place. She knows where everything is. She can say, I'm not going anywhere. This is my house. She's pretty much in control of her environment completely. When she lives a more nomadic lifestyle, there will be different circumstances that pop up. She's partly going to spend time with other people in their houses and so on. And so as that came up for her, her subconscious was saying, no, that's not a good thing. You're going to lose control, and control is really important to you because it gives you certainty. And if you give that up, then what? So we had to look at, well, how can you maintain that sense of control while you make this move, so that this move becomes safe and beneficial for you anyway? So how can we address that fear of change? How can we convince your subconscious and your conscious perhaps that this change is safe and beneficial, so that there's no need to fear this change on any level, so that you're 100% yes to, oh man, this is awesome, I'm excited, I have energy, instead of, oh, I have no energy, I can't pack, I don't know what's going on, I'm tired, I'm exhausted, I'm drained, etc. So in asking her a couple of questions, well, what might be difficult about it? What are you worried about? What are you concerned about? What could happen? What's a potential downside? What is an upside of how you have it now? We kind of uncovered that. One of the things was the control thing. Another thing was a challenge that she had with saying no in certain circumstances. So, and I could relate to this. I've definitely experienced it, so maybe you can as well. So, for her, it would show up if she would be out with a bunch of friends, and she had enough and she'd want to go home, but she'd then feel bad about saying, oh, hey, I've had enough, I want to go home. So she would stick around even though she wasn't enjoying herself anymore, and it would drag on, and well, actually she just wanted to go home. So we did some tapping work to get her I don't know what's up with my voice today. So we did some tapping work to get her to the point where she felt fine saying no, where she felt confident saying no, where she felt that it was safe, right, and easy to say no when she felt like saying no. Now that was energetic work, that was tapping work, that was emotional work. Now I'll leave out the details as to where that problem with saying no came from, but it definitely didn't happen in the last 5, 10, or 20 years of her life. It came from really early stuff. So once we addressed that, now things got different. Once we addressed the control issue, I'm like, so Rach, how are you feeling now? Yeah, I feel energized now. Okay, good. Well, I told her, you might experience a bit of an emotional up and down, because this was quite intense emotional change for you, which was instigated by this big move. So let's see what happens. And then she emailed me 2 days later saying that she felt great, she felt energized, and the resistance was gone. But that the day prior to it, the day after our session, she felt really, really tired and exhausted. So that was just, she had some processing time, and now it was integrated, and now she felt good. So now that the resistance was gone, that, oh, I'm so tired, I can't focus on anything, I'm frustrated with everything, I'm annoyed. You should have seen her at the beginning of the session. Rach is watching this as well. She was quite annoyed and difficult to get a laugh out of. And that's what happens. The resistance really turns you into a bit of a grumpy person. So that was an example for Rachel. So now for my personal life, before I get to that, so let's look at the parallels of this. Rachel was making a big change, or is about to make a big change. And whenever we start to make a big change, our resistance is going to come up. Our issues are going to come up. Our unresolved stuff is going to show up. It's going to come to the surface. My mentor, Dr. David Lake, psychotherapist, trainer of trainers, therapist, 35 years of psychotherapy, like the most qualified and trained person, experienced person that I know. He says there are 3 ways to uncover your unconscious blocks. One way is to look at what you judge in other people. The other way is to set yourself a really big goal. Well, that's what Rachel pretty much did. She made a goal to change her lifestyle. And the last way is to get into a relationship. So anyway, so for me, right now, I've set myself a really big goal as well. So this thing that I'm working on, that I've been talking about, that's a really big goal. That's really going to change my lifestyle. I'm really going to have to step up to the plate, and more is going to be demanded of me. Growth is demanded of me. So and I told Rach this a couple of days ago, I'm experiencing some resistance as well. And I've got my coach and I've got my mentor and my healing team to work me through that also. But that started to come up for me, and when that comes up for me, I sit down and I try to write stuff, or I try to prepare things, but then my mind is foggy, or I just can't get myself to sit down, or I can only focus for a little bit and I get distracted. And that's just the resistance doing its work, because my brain is telling me like, hey, Seb, your life's going to be a lot harder. You're going to have less freedom. You're not going to have as much control as you have now. What if it fails? What if this? What if that? And to my brain, it's not safe. It wasn't safe and beneficial, and therefore I experienced that resistance, just like Rachel. So I was in a pissy mood as well, and I wasn't getting anything done. So I know what that means when that happens. So I'm like, all right, I'm dealing with resistance. Well, let me contact my healing team. Let's get clear on things, and let's work through that. And I meet every week with my coach, and I meet every other week these days with my mentor. And I'm an exchange partner, so I've got people to work through stuff with, and so I work through it, and now I'm aligned again. So now I'm excited again. Now I have energy when I think about it. It's the weekend now, and I'm away with a couple of friends. But it's 8 in the morning, and I'm making this video for you because I'm excited about this. I love what I'm doing, and it's a cool thing. However, when I was dealing with the resistance, if you told me, oh, you have to shoot a video, it's like, oh yeah, I gotta shoot a video because I do this weekly video thing. It's a different world when you're dealing with resistance versus when you're not dealing with resistance. So whenever you make a big change, it is common that it's inevitable that stuff is going to come up for you. So now how does this relate to you? Well, of course, when you're having social anxiety and you're going to make a change to go from social anxiety to social confidence, fear of change and resistance to change is going to come up for you. And that is something that needs to be looked at. And I've talked about this before, and I'll be talking about it again because it's important. And I wanted to give you a bit of a comforting consideration, if you will, because I find myself repeating the following to a bunch of clients many times. I'm going to stand up because I'm tired of sitting down. Let me see if we can kind of do that here without the wind being in my face. Yeah, it should be all right. Should it? It should. So, people all right, let me just talk to you directly. If you've been trying to overcome your social anxiety for a while, and you've tried a whole bunch of things, and these things have not worked for you. Maybe you've tried to change your thoughts, didn't work. Maybe you've tried affirmations, didn't work. Maybe you've tried visualizations, hardly any results. Hypnosis, temporary results. Facing your fears, temporary results. Whatever you might have tried. Maybe you've tried tapping. Maybe you've tried Psyche. Maybe you've tried other things. And every single time that something like that didn't work, your hope that you're able to change is just sinking. You're becoming more and more pessimistic about the possibility that you can actually make a change. And your brain is starting to draw conclusions like, well, change is difficult for me. Change is not possible for me. I can't change. Change is hard. Change is difficult. It won't work. Whatever I do, it will fail anyway. Nothing ever works for me. It works for other people, but it doesn't work for me. And all of that stuff. And that, in and of itself, is also resistance. Because if you believe that you cannot change, guess what? You won't change. Henry Ford said it first, I think, if he's quoted properly. Whether you think you can or whether you think you cannot, you are right. Right? But let me talk to that idea of like, hey, I've been trying to change and it didn't work. Well, that is indeed true. It didn't work. Right? It did not work. And you've tried a variety of things. Sometimes people say, I've tried everything. I'm like, no, you didn't. If you tried everything, you wouldn't have the problem anymore. You tried a bunch of things, and the things that you tried didn't work for you. Well, have you ever considered that the approaches that you've tried weren't the right approaches for you? And what if a different approach can lead to different results? Doesn't that make logical sense? What if you haven't addressed the right issues in the right way? What if your subconscious has, since you're dealing with resistance, thrown up blind spots and had you go in circles like a dog chasing its own tail? And you would make progress but fall back. Progress would fall back because your subconscious is not a yes to your outcome of social confidence. And so 95% of you is not in agreement with social confidence. Well, guess what? Your 5% of conscious power is only going to get you so far. And as soon as you're not fully in the present aware, then your subconscious is running the show. And then your subconscious is going to bring you back to where you were. So it's not possible to make a change a permanent change unless you have subconscious agreement. So what you've been trying in the past didn't work. Okay, well, that makes sense. Now, when you try something different, when you try a different technique, when you try a different approach, when you work with a therapist, when you have a different method, when you go at it in a different way, or even better said, when you aim at the right targets for you specifically, then things are going to change. When you get a yes, a subconscious yes, when all parts of you are yes to social confidence and there's no resistance, and then you address the core reasons for why you don't feel safe socially, you uncover the origins of the threats that your brain is perceiving, and then you get rid of that, and then you will get to a place where you feel safe socially. Now, that might take a couple of months for some people, and it might take, for the worst cases, it might take a couple of years. Okay, well, isn't that worth your time? Isn't it worth your time to be at ease socially? Isn't it worth your time to be able to connect with someone? You're talking to people, you're interacting with people every single day. Isn't that the most important thing? Isn't it like, I'm going to do whatever it takes, however long it takes, in order to get to that place? Well, it was for me. And I think that it's important to get to that level of like, hey man, I am so done with this. I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do it as long as it's necessary until I get to where I want to be. And when you have that mindset and you start taking actions, things will start to shift and change. And yes, you'll run into challenges, and you'll run into obstacles, and you'll run into blocks, but there are solutions for each and every obstacle and block that you get into. And as these obstacles come up for you, you can move past them. And as you do, you grow. So, obstacle for me now with this big project coming up was X. All right, great. I look at X, I look at why that obstacle was there, I move through it. Great, now I've grown, now I'm bigger. Now I'm no longer dreading the upcoming change. I'm excited about the upcoming change. I'm no longer worrying about it not going well. I'm excited about what I'm going to be able to help other people with. I'm not just focused on myself anymore. I'm like, wow, the meaning behind this is so cool. For Rachel, she's no longer worried about saying no. She's now able to be more authentic and speak her truth. So she's grown as a person because now she's not restricted. When you have that, I can say yes, I can say no, either is fine, I'm good. Now you have boundaries in place, right? And that's what keeps you safe. So, I guess this is the end of my rant. Hope this has been helpful. If you have any questions, concerns, feedback, please leave it in the comment section. And got something exciting coming up. I've told you about this before, but like I said, I'm working on it. And today it's weekend, so I'm going to enjoy my weekend for a bit. And I will talk to you guys soon. Make sure you subscribe, share some of my videos. If you think it should have more views, appreciate it. And wish you all the best, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.